So Ben Simmons and his agent has confirmed something that really hasn't been a kept secret. And we all have known about this. And if you've been following my channel, I have made numerous videos telling you guys that Ben Simmons is now speaking into existence. He wants a trade. He wants to be traded away from the Philadelphia 76ers. I have made numerous videos telling you guys that this was going to happen. This day was going to come, and this day has happened. Now, I also told you guys the reasoning behind Ben Simmons wanting to be traded away from the Philadelphia 76ers organization. The organization itself really don't have, really are not sure that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can coexist on the same team. Now, they have tried numerous seasons, and it ends pretty much the same way. Okay? We can go into the details on why it won't work, and we'll do that later on in the video, because we really don't want to make this video any longer, because I get a lot of people talking about, man, you make some long videos, Chris. Okay, so we're going to keep this short and sweet. I also told you guys, if you've been following me, that Ben Simmons is a California guy. He just is. His heart is in California. He has a California lifestyle. A lot of women he dates are from California. A lot of his friends are from California. And Ben Simmons would love to be traded to a California team. It really doesn't matter if it's the Sacramento Kings, if it's the LA Clippers, the LA Lakers, the Golden State Warriors. He really doesn't care as long as he is in California, because he's a California guy. Now, that's what Ben Simmons ultimately wants. All right? But what you want and what actually you're going to receive or get is two separate things, two different cadences. All right? So, the Philadelphia 76ers are not going to trade Ben Simmons in the Eastern Conference. Anyone out there that's telling you that mofo garbage, you need extra stage left. He's not going to be traded in a team out east where they can see him 2 or 3 times a year. Nah, that's not going to happen. And the teams and Ben Simmons has a list, folks. Don't get it twisted or confused. He wants to go out west. He wants to be in California. The Clippers and the Lakers, you might as well X them out, because they don't have enough resources or enough trade picks to orchestrate a move like that, because you're going to have to levy basically your whole team for Ben Simmons. And the parts that you're going to trade to get Ben Simmons, the Philadelphia 76ers do not want those parts unless you're talking about Anthony Davis, maybe a LeBron James, a Kawhi Leonard, maybe a Paul George. Okay, if you're talking about including those names as far as trade, then yeah, you can probably get a phone call from the Philadelphia 76ers, but that's not going to happen either way. Okay. The Golden State Warriors. I talked about the Golden State Warriors, the possibility of him being traded to the Golden State Warriors. And I told you guys, the Golden State Warriors have players, younger players, that the Philadelphia 76ers are interested in. And they also have draft picks. Now, the players that they're going to give up and the draft picks that they're going to give up is not going to help them now, but it's going to help them later on. All right. Now, most recently, the Philadelphia 76ers locked in Joel Embiid. But let's just say, for argument's sake, and let's just say the Philadelphia 76ers organization is looking at this going, wait a minute. For the next 2, possibly 3 years, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets are really not going anywhere. Okay? They're 1-1A. Okay? They're going to be probably representing the East in the NBA Finals next season. and a possibility or a likelihood of them representing them the season after that. So if we can just coast this season and maybe make a strong push 2 years down the road, we may be a front runner or a threat to the Brooklyn Nets when they get older, or the Milwaukee Bucks when they have to make these ends meet as far as the salary cap. They're not going to be able to keep everybody for 2 years down the road. There's a possibility we can sneak in and be the favorites of the East 2 or maybe 3 years down the road. If we look at it that way, then the Golden State Warriors offerings are better than what we can get from any other team, particularly in the Western Conference. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you the Houston Rockets may have something to say about that. They have some pieces. They have some draft picks that they can make a orchestrate a trade for Ben Simmons. And the Philadelphia 76ers wouldn't mind dabbling into the possibilities of the Houston Rockets being a trade partner for the Philadelphia 76ers. But you have to look at it from Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is not going to approve of that trade. Now, that trade can happen, but then Ben Simmons can tell the Houston Rockets, I'm not re-signing with you guys, and I'm going to be just a free agent. So all those picks and those players that you gave to Philadelphia, you're just renting me. All right? So it's going to have to be a trade that makes sense for not only Philadelphia, but also for Ben Simmons. It's going to be a trade that's also going to make sense for whoever wants the services of Ben Simmons. And since Ben Simmons is a California guy, out of all the teams that are in California, the Golden State Warriors makes perfect sense. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves also make sense for the Philadelphia 76ers. The Houston Rockets make sense for the Philadelphia 76ers. All right? Maybe Memphis. But those teams, if they do a trade with Philadelphia, will be renting Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is going to go into the open market, and the likelihood of that team re-signing him is going to be slim and none, particularly if he becomes a free agent. The Golden State Warriors didn't have to give up anything, and there's a possibility that they can get him as a free agent. But that could be said for the Los Angeles Clippers, maybe the Lakers on a 1-year deal, and the Sacramento Kings. So if you're talking about a trade, it has to make sense for not only the Philadelphia 76ers, but it also had to make sense for Ben Simmons. So the Philadelphia 76ers just can't just send him anywhere. Because if they send him anywhere, it's clearly a rental, and the other team is going to be smart enough to know that, and they're not going to send all of their resources just to get Ben Simmons on the cheap for a rental. And if you've been following Ben Simmons on social media, he wants to play in California. And if you've been paying attention to Ben Simmons, if he gets a championship, he's cool with it. But as long as he plays in California and he's around his California friends, he's around the California lifestyle, dating California women, that's a championship in itself. If he gets a championship with if he gets traded to either of those teams in California, and they look around and win the NBA championship, that's just icing on the cake for Ben Simmons. But Ben Simmons is choosing happiness over championships. And that's another layer to this that a lot of people are not talking about. Ben Simmons isn't putting championships on his priority sheet. What he's putting first on his priority sheet is for him to be happy. It's for him to be welcomed. It's for him to be appreciated. And those are things that the Philadelphia 76ers cannot give Ben Simmons. When you talk about Philadelphia and Philadelphia fans, they're hardcore, dude. If you suck, they're going to let you know you suck. This is the same group of fans that boo Santa Claus at a Philadelphia Eagles game. These are the same fans that stood up and cheer that Michael Irvin was laying on the ground injured, and he had a neck injury, and people were applauding that. These are the most cutthroat, cold-blooded fans there are. And they love their teams. They love them. They love their teams to death. And if somebody is representing the team that they love, which are the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia 76ers, or the Philadelphia Flyers, if that player is sucking, or if that player does not want to be there, they're going to garbage that player. Okay? And Ben Simmons hasn't really felt a lot of heat from the Philadelphia fans. Even though a lot of Philadelphia fans have voiced their frustration with him, he hasn't felt a lot of heat from the Philadelphia media because the Philadelphia 76ers organizations has been protecting him thus far. I don't think they're going to be protecting him this year. It's either make it or break it for him, and if he doesn't work out, then they have no choice but to demand or force a trade. This is not going to work out, not because Ben Simmons does not care about basketball, or not because the fact that Ben Simmons wants to feel wanted and, he's fragile and yada, 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 all this, this stuff that people say on these talking head shows. The simple fact of it is, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, a lot of people don't want to admit to this, but they are pretty much the same players. Okay? With some pros and some cons. Okay? With strengths and some weaknesses. All right? Joel Embiid, who plays like he's built like an old school center back in the 80s, who can play the paint, but he loves to play the perimeter, and he loves to play around the 3-point line. Okay? But Joel Embiid is also an injury-prone player. And I feel like the Philadelphia 76ers organization is cool with that. All right? They're good with that. Ben Simmons is good as a facilitator. He gets other people involved. He's not a me type of guy. He's not, if there's one shot to be made, he's the type of player that wants to orchestrate everyone and involve everyone in that play, not just himself or not just one player. But Ben Simmons' lack of consistently knocking down a perimeter shot or being consistently better on his 3-point, on his stroke game, it's just not there. And that's why I say you have the same players. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Big guys that have flaws. But two big guys that are ISO players that can't coexist on the same team. It's not going to work. The perfect place, in my opinion, for Ben Simmons, and I feel like the Houston Rockets gig could be a good place for him. A small market city, okay, small market town. He will be the man in Houston. They will build around him. It's a laid back type of atmosphere. I feel like another place where he could probably go is the Timberwolves. If they can keep Cat, that will really make Cat happy. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, look, well, Chris, you're getting the same guy. You just got through saying Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons could not function together. Well, what makes you think the Big Cat and Ben Simmons can function in Minnesota? I feel like Minnesota has more shooters, better shooters. And I feel like if Ben Simmons can just go in there and facilitate and they don't ask him to do anything else, then that's fine. You have shooters already there with Minnesota, and you got the Cat, so it's fine. Karl Anthony Towns. For all those out there who don't know what Cat stands for, Karl Anthony Towns. But I feel like that could be a decent matchup. But if he prefers the West, out of the 4 teams, Clippers, Lakers, Sacramento, Golden State, I'm going to put them in order. Sacramento has a lot of pieces that the Philadelphia 76ers will probably desire and want, followed by the Golden State Warriors. They have pieces in draft picks. Although these pieces in draft picks is not going to resonate for the Philadelphia 76ers organization. It's not going to be a now type of making the team better, but maybe 2 years down the road, possibly making the team better. The Clippers really don't have anything unless they're going to give up Kawhi or Paul George. Okay? The Lakers really don't have nothing unless they're going to give up AD, Anthony Davis, which that's not going to happen. Well, none of these guys, it's not going to happen. Or LeBron, and that's not going to happen either. Okay? If he stays firm to his belief and say, hey, look, I don't want to, I just only want to be traded to, the West and those teams only. I feel like the better odds are going to be from the Sacramento Kings and the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors, Clippers, then Lakers. That's my list, and I'm going to stick by it, and I'm going to stand by it. But if you've been following me, I told you this day was going to come. This day has came, and now you know what Ben Simmons wants. Now the shoes going to have to drop with the organization. Are they going to say, well, we're gonna keep Ben Simmons and we believe in the dynamic with him and Joel Embiid, even though if you've been paying attention to what the Philadelphia 76ers organization have been saying most recently, as well as Doc Rivers, they don't really have a real strong belief that these two guys can coexist on the same team. All right. So, yeah, that's all I got for today's video. If it's too long, I apologize. It's your boy, the host of the most. I'm up out of here. Deuces.